Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not the Mouse, the podcast all about animation, not made by the mouse. Sort of. This has been going on for a while. I was taking, I don't want to say a break last year because I did do a few episodes, but because I was busy doing animation and a bunch of other stuff, I've been kind of off for the most part. While this isn't me saying that you're going to start seeing weekly episodes again, I am going to start doing more episodes more regularly again. What I will say is that I'm still mostly going to be focused on stuff that isn't Disney related, but there are going to be times where, if for whatever reason, I might focus on something Disney related just for like a special event or something like that. In regards to how I'm going to be doing this show, it's still going to be basically the same. I watch an animated movie or a show, depending on what it is, and I'll talk about it. I'm not going to be mainly focusing on Disney stuff, but there are times where it'll happen. At one point I did Solar Opposites because I was like, oh, it's not a Disney thing. And then I completely forgetting that, wait, it's on Hulu. It is a Disney-owned thing, and it's 20th Century Television. So again, it's now owned by Disney because Disney bought off everything. Again, it will happen occasionally, sometimes more intentional than others. I can't say that I'll do it anytime soon, if ever, for sure. But I have wanted to do an episode focused entirely on the Disney movie Wish, because it really is that bad that I would love to dissect it. Now, what is this episode? This episode is really just a bit of a catch-up. It's a bit of me just coming back to say, like, hey, I'm still here. I'm coming back in a more regular presence. As you can see, I'm no longer doing an animation. That's not out yet as of this recording, but since I've done the heavy part, expect to see something within the year. I'm still going to focus on doing the editing on it, and I'm hoping I can do some 2D animation segments for it just to kind of fill in the gaps. Stop motion is very hard, and especially as a one-man person thing, first time, it's going to look very amateur. I'm not going to pretend it won't, but at the very least, I'm hoping that it does get your interest. Maybe someday I can remake it to my actual vision. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. At the very least, I'm glad to have been able to get that experience in. But again, this is a little bit of a catch-up. Last year, I did do a few different videos. I did K-Pop Demon Hunters because it was a really good movie. Loved it. Loved doing the sing-along for it. As you can see, I have a SpongeBob popcorn bucket for the recent SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants. I can't guarantee that I'll do it anytime this year, but I am hoping to do another SpongeBob month just because we've had enough SpongeBob material to do that kind of thing again for like the more recent movies. I will say that originally one of the plans that I had as this sort of comeback episode was that I wanted to talk about the SpongeBob musical. Recently saw that, very entertaining, but I figured, you know what, I can save that for later. I did think about doing Ninja 2, but one, I haven't finished watching it. Two, the only thing I have access to is the A24 version, and I don't know. I may try watching the original language on it if it becomes a possibility, just because so far from what I've seen on the A24, I am not liking the way they translated it, the dub on it. I've heard pretty good things on it, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. Maybe it's just my mood right now, so maybe I'll finish it and do it next. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises, but I am thinking about it. And, at one point I was also thinking about, like, okay, you know what? I haven't done an actual Simpsons episode. Maybe I could do my favorite one. I'll hold off on saying what my favorite episode is in case I ever revisit that idea. But I don't know. I just felt like that was a little too lazy, which, kind of funny considering that I'm doing an episode where I'm not really talking about any specific thing. But I don't know. I just didn't feel right to do it as a comeback at the very least. This is kind of neat as a sort of update of where we're at as of this recording. I don't know what's nominated for Best Animated Film at the Oscars. I'm hoping that K-Pop Demon Hunters wins, not just because it's the movie that I liked the most in terms of animation last year, but because I just feel like, okay, yeah, give Sony another win. It's clear that this is another one of their years. Honestly, it'd be a cool thing to see win. But, if they give it to something cool and respectable, like, as much as I enjoyed it, I would rather it not go to Zootopia 2. Zootopia 2 really good movie. I actually think it's better than the first one, but Disney's gotten it way too much, and it's like, look, let other companies shine. It'd be nice to see Disney kind of take this in, like seeing like, okay, we can't just coast on our name entirely and do, like it'd be cool to see them work harder for it. So I do think that, yeah, Zootopia 2 should, even though it's probably right up there with K-pop Demon Hunters in terms of the best ones I've seen this year or last year, I would rather it not win if, K-pop Demon Hunters doesn't get it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. Like I said, SpongeBob had its, animated movie. Really likes Search for SquarePants. And they even had 2 Netflix movies, which one I enjoyed, one not so much. But I do think that people are way too harsh on it. I'm trying to keep it a secret, but realistically, if you're a SpongeBob fan, you probably know what I'm talking about. And of course, I'm still excited for what's coming this, coming year. We're getting another Mario movie, this time the Mario Galaxy movie. Kind of a surprise, but I'm hoping that it is better than the first one. Even though I really liked the first one. I did an episode on that, and I still stand by, like, look, it's a very good bedtime story, throwback to, like, Disney era, Walt Disney era specifically, Disney films. So I hope that we at least get more of that. But, given that this is a sequel, I do hope that, like, okay, we could take what we've already established there and go deeper with the material. That way, it doesn't just feel like we're just touching the surface level on it. Which, speaking of Nintendo, who knows if we're doing more animated features from Illumination or just anyone in general. But I do hope, there's rumors that Donkey Kong is getting his movie, that Seth Rogen is going to be more involved with it. I'm hoping that means that, much like with the video games, Donkey Kong ends up being a much more complex movie, which would be great. I'm hoping that they announced that they're doing a Pikmin movie. I keep on feeling like that's one of my guesses. Like, it's something that I've been theorizing for a while, like ever since the Mario movie came out, where I'm like, chances are they're going to do a Pikmin movie from Illumination because, that's kind of Miyamoto's baby. Pikmin is a great game, and I can see the potential of doing a movie on it. And more importantly, it'd be amazing if it turns out that Miyamoto himself is actually directing it, because he already directed shorts on it. So it'd be pretty amazing to see, like, okay, this is the one that Miyamoto's actually going to do an actual movie on, and just to see how that works out. That to me would be pretty amazing. Don't know if it happens, but I am, I feel like that's where we're heading. If not, I know some people are expecting Kirby. I don't know if I feel as confident about a Kirby movie as I do about a Pikmin movie from Illumination, but I do think that that is a possibility. Hopefully, if they do, it's great. Maybe get Sakurai involved with that. But even beyond that, we're of course getting another animation film from Disney. We're always, due for another one. This time it's called Hexed, which is about a boy with magic. I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Nothing about it, has interested me so far, but we barely know anything about it. Pixar, of course, is out there. We're doing Toy Story 5. Not really feeling that. Like, I was already kind of like mixed on the idea of doing a Toy Story 4, but at the very least, I will say that Toy Story 4 managed to make it work. And I do like the idea of, like, okay, we're gonna kind of finally go back to what's been, like, at the edge of this franchise from the very beginning all along, which is that these toys are getting lost. That was the original premise of, the first Toy Story, where it would have been about a toy getting lost and then accepting that they're a lost toy. So seeing it come to, come through, like, as a full circle kind of thing, with Woody accepting that he's a lost toy, and finally accepting, like, hey, look, my kid's grown up. It's fine. I get to live the life that I want by being with the woman I want. I thought was a beautiful way to close it out. Even though I do think it's like, yeah, that's one too many movies. But at the very least, you managed to make it feel like, okay, this is at least kind of, I don't want to say necessary, but, it feels like, okay, this is, like, if you had to do one more, this was a necessary step to get there. It feels like a perfect little epilogue movie. Like, you got the perfect trilogy that you didn't really need any more of. And then you got the one, the extra as a way for people to satisfy themselves that, they could close, Woody and Andy's story was already closed off. Now we just got Woody's happily ever after. Like, after Andy, moved on, Woody, as the father figure, if so to speak, in metaphorical way, finally gets to leave the nest and, be his own man. that was cool. But then we get another one and just be like, oh, Woody's now back, and they're tackling tablets, and it's like possibly gonna be like from a boomer perspective of like, oh, technology bad. Hopefully it's not, but it does feel like we might be heading that way, and even then it's like, okay, what exactly makes this one done the necessary, next step, I mean, maybe it ends up being good, but at the same time, I can't imagine it feels any more necessary than the last one, and I can't imagine that that's not going to hurt it in any kind of way. So, not excited for that one. We are getting another Pixar movie called Hoppers, which is, as they put it, not Avatar, but basically is Avatar, but with a beaver. Looks very fun. It's from the guy who made We Bare Bears, a show that, I don't know if I'll ever talk about on this place, but it's a cool thing. It's fun. We're getting another Sony movie with a lot of, cool animation styles, soon. It's called Goat, basketball movie. Don't know if it'll be good, but it looks pretty promising just from the trailers. I at least appreciate that Sony is always trying to push the boundaries of what we can do from a visual standpoint. I think that's cool. Some people are getting tired of it. I don't know why you would get tired of that. I think it's great when an animation studio wants to push what animation can do, even if it's just visually. I'm looking forward to watching other movies that are coming out, like Scarlet, which is an anime film. I love animation, is the point. And that is what I am trying to focus on. I do want to do more movies that are maybe outside the box soon. I do want to still do some of the more popular ones. I would love to do the rest of the Shrek movies, especially that we're going to be getting Shrek 5 within the coming year, or was it moved to next year? I'm not really too sure. These things shift around so much. Maybe I'd do a DreamWorks month, that just focuses on, doing stuff from DreamWorks that I haven't done before, especially considering that we're getting live action How to Train Your Dragons. The first one, pretty good movie. I will say that, it's kind of amazing that even when in live action, when DreamWorks is just doing cash grabs, they kind of knock it out of the park better than Disney does. Not that the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake was perfect, but at the very least, it feels more sincere than on a lot of the Disney movies, and that may be because they actually got someone involved with the animation to direct it. Dean DeBlaw, who I hope I'm saying that right. He directed the sequels. He co-directed the first movie, so having him come back to do the live action remake was a good touch. I do think that it feels way too close to the original movie, but the little touches that it added at least felt like it was expanding it in an interesting way rather than detracting from it. Because I know that's a thing that, people have an issue with when it comes to a lot of the live action remakes. It's my biggest issue with the live action Disney remakes is that a lot of them tend to add in little things, but it often detracts from the movie. Like, it often feels like you either contradict stuff from the movie, or it's just like, this was not necessary. This movie is like, yeah, a lot of it isn't necessary either, but it feels like, okay, it makes the town more lively. It makes it feel more like a character. There's little characters that didn't really pop out that I feel like get a little bit more of a moment on the live action one that makes it feel like, okay, yeah, this is a more realized world. And while I still prefer the animated movie, I can't deny that the live action one works for what it's trying to do. I'm interested to see where it goes. I just read the news that Kate Blanchett is going to be coming back as Hiccup's mom, which is pretty cool. Speaking of live action remakes, I saw the Lilo and Stitch remake. I don't know if I ever talked about it on here. Again, I didn't really do much episodes last year. I will say it's fine. It's cute. It's one of the better Disney remakes just because I do like some of the changes that they make. I like the fact that Nani has a bit more agency to her own character, especially because, in the cartoon, as much as I love Nani, as much as I love, the voice actress, I can't deny that she's just basically there to be like the older sister who's basically just a mom now. So seeing that, like, okay, she had to give up going to college and, she wants to be a marine biologist. Like, okay, that's kind of an interesting change. I did like the fact that they did something new with the climax where they play into the whole, like, yeah, Stitch can't be in water thing. Them making Jumbo the main villain was one of those things that was very controversial. I didn't really hate it because I was like, in fairness, Gantu kind of comes out of nowhere if you look at it, even though it still ultimately works in that animated movie, but it kind of comes out of nowhere for the most part. Jumbo is like the main one we're focusing on, so I'm fine with him turning heel, especially because I kind of feel like, okay, I know where they're going with this. When they do the sequel, they're gonna have him team up with Hamster Viola initially, and he's gonna realize that, you know, Ohana is important, and he's gonna, you know, go good. That's gonna be his kind of arc, because let's be real here, by the time we get to the sequels in the show, there's a lot of times where Jumba doesn't really have an arc. He's just really just there to explain what each experiment was. So I kind of get why they would do that. Honestly, my bigger issue with Jumbo was that Zach Galifianakis, much as he's trying, and I do think he is giving it a good performance, the voice is just kind of weird on the design, so it's going with the cartoon design, so I'm expecting to hear at least the Russian accent. But overall, fine movie. I don't know why people went so off on it, acting as if it's one of the worst things ever. It's like, look, guys, it is not close to the worst Disney remake, so I don't know what you guys are on. But, yeah, at this point, I'm just rambling on about a bunch of projects. I may do some video game stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of interested in doing a bit more video game stuff. Not so much about the Let's Plays, and I might do Let's Plays, because, you know, or streams, whatever. I'm not too big on this stuff. But, you know, I do have the stuff for that. But I'm more or less talking about, like, doing just, like, little reviews, chats, or whatever about video games, because I would love to talk about the Pikmin games. Technically speaking, there's animation in video games, but I can't promise that that'll be a regular thing. That's probably going to be more like just a special thing, like every now and then, like, hey, I just want to chat about, you know, certain games. Maybe talk about the new Pokemon games. I'm obsessed with Pokemon. You know, very recently did like the whole Nintendo Year in Review, and when I saw it fully laid out, all the most played games I've ever had in like the last 9 years, and most of them were Pokemon, and those are the ones that I get the most hours in. I was just like, god damn, I knew that I love this franchise, but I really am obsessed. I don't know. That's really about as much as I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to do a little bit of a catch up, just a little bit about like, okay, yeah, I'm coming back. You know, you can see I've got a setup. I'm going to be probably doing a little bit more on the setup soon. Honestly, I've missed you guys, and I'm glad to just be able to say, hey, I'm not gone. Expect to see more regular stuff. Expect to see... I'm going to try to do at least a few more videos on, like, the... You know, last year I did a few called movies you probably didn't see. I have one more video that I got to do on that. Just finish, like, the original 4 that I recorded. And maybe I'll do a few other ones. Like, think of them as short little videos that you can watch just to get an idea of, like, certain things that are just outside the realm of, you know, what I talk about. Or sometimes in the realm. I've done a few TikToks on just me opening packs. I don't know if that'll be a regular thing, especially with how hard it is to get Pokemon cards. But maybe I'll try doing with Lorcana as well. I do have the setup for that. I do have this little thing that I can easily hold on to. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. Point being... I'm here to do more videos. I'm not gone, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and follow this channel. Subscribe, like, and comment. Ring the bell for notifications. Go ahead and also follow my podcast, and give some love to my Patreon account while you're at it. It's www.patreon.com/psycams. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you come back for more in the future.